Hey y'all! So today in this video, I wanted to talk about refeeds. Kind of just all about refeeds, just like the different, different ideas behind them, when to have them, what days to put them on, things like that. I get a lot of questions in regards to it, and I'll just let you know that it really depends on you. There's no right or wrong way to do this. But I will talk about a few of the things that I get asked a lot about, like when you should have them, should I train legs on that day, things like that. All right, so the first question I get is, when should I structure it during the week? And this is really dependent on you and how you feel that you respond to the refeeds. So for me, what I find actually is that the day after the refeed, I will feel and look my best. So say I have a refeed on Friday. Then I know on Saturday I'm gonna wake up usually feeling a little bit fuller, a little bit tighter, feel good in the gym, be able to kind of give it my all. If I'm lacking kind of getting a pump, I can probably get a pump that day. This is obviously more important when you're dieting. I don't ever do refeeds really when I'm not dieting, unless it would be like an off-track day. But for the most part, I try to keep things pretty consistent. I don't really like big fluctuations. That's just me personally. But if I am prepping, and it is obviously harder to get a pump when you're flatter, and all these things are super normal, and you kind of feel like you're dragging in the gym, whatever. So sometimes having that refeed, sleeping on it, and then when I wake up, I feel like I look better. This is also really important to kind of take note of for yourself, or for yourself to give to your coach or your mentor, whoever, because this plays into competition preps. So if you are peaking, and you know that, okay, at the end of the day of the refeed, I look best and feel best. Or maybe for me, like I said, I have a refeed day, say it's Friday, and then the show is Saturday. I look better with the Friday refeed, sleeping on it, and then waking up and competing. So it's really all depends on you, and that can change each prep. So when you are trying something out, like I always recommend, try it for a few weeks, like 2 to 3 weeks. See it like how I just suggested. Maybe you have a refeed on Friday, then see how you look on Saturday, how you feel, how you get a pump, how whatever you feel throughout the day. And then maybe if you're not liking it, then try it, okay, maybe Friday at the end of the day, or if I wake up and start eating earlier, things like that. For me, for the show, I would try to wake up and eat and whatever. I never really filled out as well, versus the day before. Have a refeed the day before, go to sleep, wake up, feel a lot better. That's just me personally, and that is how I structure it with training. Now, do I think that do I think that all of that really matters? In the grand scheme of calorie deficits, not really. But caveats, if you are, like I said, really dragging in the gym and you have a heavy leg day coming up, or something that you want to just really push, I really want to focus on shoulders and glutes this this prep, aka every bikini girl, every prep, and okay, I've trained during the week, but I really want to have one kick-ass session. Maybe you do it the day after your refeed, or the day of, depending on how you feel, or maybe it's 2 days after, who knows. But structuring the training around it that way, I think, can be important, especially as you get leaner. When you're not as lean, to me, I find that stuff doesn't really matter, you know what I mean? Besides the feeling. But as far as how you look, I feel like that doesn't really make as much of a difference, but everyone is different in that regard. So definitely there's nothing to say, like I said, right or wrong. You could have your refeed on a Wednesday and then have your hardest training session on Saturday. It really doesn't matter. To me, if you don't feel like you get a difference from it, then do whatever you want. Do whatever fits best for your schedule. But if we're really trying to get down to the nitty gritty, little details, my little tools, details, then I think that it could play a minor importance, especially most specifically, for the energy standpoint and getting the pump and just feeling good in the gym. That's really hard, especially when you're on lower calories and things. So sometimes the refeed can really augment that. How often should you have a refeed? This is really different, again, for everyone. And a refeed is not a cheat meal. I wouldn't call it that. It is not, even remotely the same thing. A refeed is just the same, it's a tracked day, it's just higher in calories. Typically higher in carbs, and sometimes higher in carbs and in fat. Really just depends on where you're at. And again, how your body responds to all those things. So for me right now, my fats are the same, but my carbs are just significantly higher on refeed days. And that's the biggest difference. So right now, again, I am at, I've been dieting for a while, and I'm trying to keep the refeeds in there, but of course they have to drop too. But I do like significant refeeds. So I'd rather lessen the frequency of them and have, more normal kind of low days, and then add them in and not drop them versus having them more frequently but having smaller ones, if that makes sense. Overall, calorie deficit is a calorie deficit, right? And how you structure that is very just dependent on you. Some people have a refeed every 4th day. That's a lot, but some people that works really good for them. Then other people, what I normally start most people out on is 5 days of normal food and then 2 refeed days back to back. That's usually kind of how I do 7-day cycle. And then what I've tried on myself and what I've also tried on some clients recently is doing this 8 and 2 split. So it's a 10-day cycle, and you have 8 normal days and then you have 2 refeed days. And so the only thing I don't like about that is that it like changes like the day every time, obviously, duh. And I'm really like a structured kind of person, like, oh, I'd like to look forward to this, but I kind of had to let that OCDness go, and I didn't want to drop the refeeds, so I just kind of spaced it out, and it's worked out really well for me, worked out well for some of my clients. So maybe if you're someone like me who likes a higher refeed and doesn't want to sacrifice that, maybe you just extend the deficit and then you can keep that in there. Again, doesn't really matter that much. It all just depends on what you like and what works for you. I've also usually what I would do for previous preps is I would do 5 normal days and 2 refeed days, and then at some point I would just drop to 1 refeed day. So 6 normal days to 1 refeed day, so a 7-day cycle of that. Not sure if I'll do that this time or not because I'm feeling pretty good with the 8 and 2, but we'll see, and I'll keep you updated. And the last part to this is I want to touch on, should you have a refeed day or can you have a refeed day on a off day? And I'm all for that. If you like that, go for it. I've never been somebody who cuts calories on a normal day. I think that is slightly counterproductive. Like when you are recovering, your body still needs calories. It's not like you just you're not just slothing all day on the couch. I would hope not. Just because you're not training in the gym for like an hour or something, doesn't mean that your body's not using food. Now I could see that maybe if you're somebody who's eating like an extraordinary amount of calories each day and you're trying to keep overall calorie check, in balance, maybe. But I've never, I'm not in that position, and I would only think that would be a very small population of people. So for me, I don't cut food on rest days. I don't recommend cutting food on rest days. And if your refeed either A, happens to fall on a rest day, or B, you want it to be on a rest day, I think that's totally fine. Because again, going back to how I said, I feel better the day after a refeed. So maybe I have 1 refeed that week and I know I'm gonna have it on Sunday, I'm gonna relax, gonna just enjoy this, I'm gonna sleep on it, wake up and feel kick ass for Monday. So for me, it's not really a waste to have the refeed on the rest day. Again, everyone's different, so maybe you really feel weird or something, but I can't imagine that unless you're training for like 5 hours a day or like something crazy like that. But if you're just a normal person who's just training in the gym, hour, hour and a half, maybe doing a little bit of cardio, I don't think it's that crucial to cut food, and I don't think it's a bad idea at all actually to have your refeed day on your rest day. So hopefully that cleared up some maybe misconceptions or just some questions about refeeds. Of course, this is not the end all be all video, but I think this kind of touched on questions that I get a lot. And if you like this, share it and tell your friends, especially if people are asking you questions about this too. But the number one thing is try this on yourself. Always try stuff for yourself, do it for a few weeks, really reassess, reevaluate, and then move forward, make appropriate changes. Hope y'all enjoyed this and have a great day.